All right, hey everyone, this is Chris Bilame. I'm a network architect and I work on NetBrain's technical marketing team. Thanks for joining us today. So today we're going to present our webinar on end-to-end visibility for your hybrid network. Joined with me today is Eugene O'Ele from our pre-sales engineering team, and he's going to be helping to run some exciting live demonstrations in our lab environment. So let's go ahead and get started. So why do we want automated end-to-end network visibility? The legacy method of network operations relies heavily on static documentation and data sources, separate telemetry and logging tools. So to improve our network infrastructure efficiency and the management of these environments, there's been a general move towards network automation to automate everything. But what do we mean by everything? So here we refer to network operations and all that they do, which is a lot. Can we automate documentation? And by documentation, I mean topology as well as application paths, configurations, compliance, used for security audits, forecast planning, design reviews. And the biggest driver today for NetOps automation is incident response, problem investigation, and security events. We desire to restore the network, fix the problem as quickly as possible. And can we automate those day-to-day NetOps tasks, those break-fix, simple but frequent or time-consuming tasks, the basic investigations that every network operations center performs on a daily basis, triage that alarm, shut that interface, track failovers. And let's not forget maintenance, firmware, patch, inventory, and license management. And lastly, implementation needs visibility too. We can't onboard new services and applications, onboard customers, implement new designs without first assessing, analyzing, and documenting the current state and design. So how can we provide this automated visibility needed for all of these varied tasks? The tasks performed today by network operations are traditionally very manual. Manual documentation, manual troubleshooting of network incidents and security events, the manual triaging of alarms and break-fix tasks, manual maintenance task verifications, and of course, manual methods of design analysis and forecast planning. It's a given that today's network engineers need visibility for any type of network. Environments now are complex, multi-vendor, multi-technology, encompassing the traditional on-premises, software-defined, as well as public cloud. And in the absence of automation, human engineers are pulling in data via cumbersome command line or API interfaces sequentially and manually. And of course, let's not forget the plethora of IT tools, each with their various GUIs and methods of providing analytic and data understanding. So what we end up with is humans in this paradigm, they're acting as the middleware instead of as the driver. So how does NetBrain provide this automated dynamic visibility? So this visibility, it must include robust details on configuration, topology, and network telemetry information. So what NetBrain does is NetBrain discovers your complete network and constructs a mathematical data model of the entire environment. This includes both the physical and the logical topologies, gathering data, providing detailed views on layer 2, layer 3, SDWAN elements, and so on. And also discovered and baselined are thousands of data points across your end-to-end environment. Items such as security filters on firewalls, BGP or OSPF or other routing protocol details, device health information such as CPU, memory, network interface statistics. And all of these baseline calculations are powered by NetBrain's intelligent AI-guided algorithms. So this data model, it provides the foundation for automating visibility for any network from any visible angle. And what this does is this puts the machine in the role of middleware, where it belongs, right? Enabling the human engineer to be the driver. This in turn powers NetBrain's two key technologies for visibility and automation. First, we have the dynamic map used to map the network and visualize any network data and to provide the user interface for network automation. Second technology we have is executable runbook automation. This is used to share that operational knowledge, empower entire teams with subject matter expertise, and ultimately to scale network automation to handle any task. And the most fundamental thing needed is, of course, that end-to-end network topological visibility. NetBrain provides this abstracted, normalized view that will speak to any network engineer regardless of their specialization by discovering, dynamically mapping, and providing visualization of multiple technologies as a single entity with that end-to-end view. This gains visibility for SD-WAN to traditional data center or campus networks, to software-defined networks, and to public cloud. Providing these multi-vendor, multi-technology, end-to-end views of the network enables engineers to understand the total picture of their environment. All right, so this is a good time to jump over to Eugene for a look at how NetBrain's automated network visibility can enable visualization and troubleshooting of the most complex of hybrid environments. Over to you, Eugene.
Thank you very much, Chris, for that great introduction. Everybody, welcome. Again, my name is Eugene Oile. I'll be your engineer for this webinar today. Feel free to type in your questions within the Q&A chat window there. Now, shortly here, I'll start by sharing my screen. So guys, I'm really excited to bring this to you, and this is where we start, right? Based on what Chris has talked to us about, this is where we start. And I know you might be confused as to what you're looking at. Everything is really tiny, and it's pretty hard to make out. But that's the idea of what we currently have right now. And the idea here is we have our entire overview network, and it's kind of difficult to get to it. What NetBrain provides is the capability of going in and out on any map that you want. However, this is an architectural view of our network. For example, here, if I dive into it and look a little bit close, I can see where we have our branch network here, where we come into our SD-WAN, WAN environment, how we go into our traditional data center, where we have other vendors, let's say Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Barracuda firewalls, and a regular ASA, and maybe Cisco switches or routers. But we also have been growing as a company, evolving, and we're trying new technologies, right? So with this next generation of technologies coming up, we have endeavored to actually go ahead and build our software-defined data center, which includes not only Cisco ACI, but NSX as well. Now, with this, us having this data center and all the applications that we currently have out there that currently need to be accessed really fast, we also decided to go ahead and put a public cloud within our environment. So basically, we're covering all bases of most enterprise organizations. Now, with each technology, I will go ahead and talk about it. I know we started out with a traditional, we went to ACI, then we came back to NSX and public cloud. For now, we'll start off with the public cloud. Then we'll follow up on how we are able to visualize in ACI, how we are able to visualize in NSX, and how we are able to visualize in traditional environments as well. Now, looking at what you're seeing on the screen right now, I think one of the biggest deals I want to make about NetBrain being a visibility platform or showing you what you need to know is the ability of NetBrain to show how you connect from your traditional network into AWS. Not only are we able to show you what you have for VPN tunnels between your firewall to your transit gateway within AWS, NetBrain also allows us at any point in time to also build the connectivity that you may have for your direct connects into AWS at any point in time. Not only that, if we jump into this, we'd actually see that we're seeing a lot more. If we have some VPC peering, or let's say, for example, you were able to go ahead and acquire or merge with another company and they have different accounts. What NetBrain allows you to be able to do is to get that connectivity within the AWS cloud and be able to see what you have assets on there. Additionally, we can see how you connect from the AWS cloud into the internet, as well as provide visibility into any virtual appliances that you may have, including Cisco routers, ASAs that are built or that are put up within AWS instances. And then finally, we also deliver the ability to go ahead and see EC2 instances within AWS. But here is the most one of the most challenging things that I've seen with customers in the past is their ability to manage the number of accounts they currently have within AWS. NetBrain provides a visibility into that based on what we have here as our network control plane. Like I said, we'll go ahead and focus on those other technologies, but right now, let's just focus on AWS. What NetBrain provides is the ability for you to manage all the accounts that you currently have and be able to quickly see them in a single pane of glass within NetBrain and map them out and show all the connectivity that you may have between these specific accounts. So that's one thing that I wanted to quickly go ahead and point it out. In addition to that, not only does NetBrain deliver that, it allows you to be able to get additional information for all the instances you have within your AWS cloud. For example, this is one of the VPCs that we currently have. Not only do we see device information within the cloud interface information for that specific VPC, but we can actually go ahead and dig in a little bit deeper, be able to get information from the ENI table. We can look at access lists for that particular VPC. At any point in time, we'll be able to also look at what we have for security groups, as well as any VPC peering or routing that we may have within here. I think this is of a lot of value to be able to not only have this information on one hand, but also on that similar map, be able to go ahead and see in terms of visually how these connections are actually made within the environment. Now, what NetBrain does for AWS is not precluded or does not stop by just providing you the topology. NetBrain actually extends this to be able to allow you to have any user you may have within your environment come in at any point and be able to show in terms of our network operations or DevOps perspective, be able to come in here at any point and be able to build any map that you currently have. So for example, I'll go ahead and find one of my customers or my users on my network that was trying to connect from a traditional network into an application within AWS. NetBrain allows me to be able to go ahead and create a traffic flow between these two places. So for example, if I could go back into my path browser, and I know you may be wondering what this is, right? Just to digress a little bit, this is basically NetBrain's way to give you visibility into each application you currently have and the infrastructure that supports its traffic flow. So for example, we'll quickly go ahead and pick this guy up, and we could actually just open this particular map and NetBrain will draw it for us. Now, the key thing behind this is this is not a simple trace route. This is NetBrain going through an investigative process to be able to determine what the next hops are across your environment, looking at your firewalls, showing you where you have those permissions on your firewalls, looking at your routers. Quickly, you can see where you have your IPsec peers with your traditional network. You could also jump into your VPCs and be able to go get additional information for what VRF you're traversing at this particular point and making it all the way to, after going through both VPCs here, making it all the way to your EC2 instance. This says path failed, but on the second section of the demo, we'll come back and discuss this. And I will be able to show exactly how you can leverage NetBrain in different perspectives, depending on what you're looking at. Now, that's just one of the fast technologies that NetBrain supports. The follow-up one was to look at ACI. So what does NetBrain do for ACI specifically, other than just discovery and being able to go ahead and show you information about what you have in terms of topology? NetBrain presents ACI in several different ways. I will open up a new map here just for cleanliness sake, so it can actually be a little bit more clear while I go through this. What NetBrain does for ACI is we present it in three specific views, right? We have the fabric port view where we'll start. This is the physical connectivity of within ACI environments. The tenant view, which allows you to be able to quickly see what you have configured in terms of VRFs and subnets and bridge domains that support your applications. And finally, we have the ability to look at ACI in terms of an application-centric view that allows you to be able to quickly see the underlay and overlay infrastructure that supports any of the applications you have. Let's go ahead and start off with the fabric port view. Now, with the fabric port view, what NetBrain delivers is the ability to actually leverage our discovery and almost instantly be able to quickly see what you currently have for infrastructure for your ACI. Be it multi-port, multi-site, or just a single port, NetBrain can deliver this to you. Not only are you able to see this, you could actually zoom in, get additional information, but even extend the traditional networks that you currently have. Quickly see that connectivity and be able to actually apply this onto that particular map and keep extending to different areas of your network if you choose to. Let's say, for instance, you just want to focus on your firewalls. NetBrain allows us to be able to pull that information in. One of the key things that you also realize within these maps is the ability of them being very flexible. NetBrain allows us to be able to go ahead and get out, zoom out of that particular map to actually see the entire infrastructure, move devices around if we choose to. So let's say, for example, if we wanted to drop this down here to the bottom, we'll be able to do that as well. I'll quickly just drag these here to the bottom. NetBrain allows us to be able to do that. So we can just quickly just focus on ACI specifically. Now, the level of information we have is focused on physical connectivity, and we may want to get a little bit more. What NetBrain delivers is the ability for us to be able to go ahead and leverage our automation to go ahead and pull that information from these devices. We could pull this information either live, or we could also leverage historical data to be able to see what has been happening within our network. So for instance, in this particular case, NetBrain is actually looking at the health and faults on these particular devices for the ACI fabric by itself. Now, how cool is that? Right? Instead of you automatically trying to figure this out, NetBrain will deliver this information for you, and you'll be able to go ahead and see all this information populated for any map that you currently have. And it's all done automatically for more than 10 devices on your map. Now, it only depends on the devices you have within your map itself. Not only is this done automatically, the data you need is delivered to you, and this can be done by any user that has NetBrain and has the ability to click on this particular automation. These right here are samples of automations that we have created, or subject matters have created for us to be able to show you what NetBrain can do. In the event you want to see something different, we could actually leverage this automation to actually build any for you, as long as we could pull it via API from the AP controller and be able to highlight it. Now, that's just one way we actually can view ACI. The follow-up, like I mentioned, was being able to view ACI from a tenant view perspective. For example, I know we do have a VRF that's called production within our environment. I quickly search for it, and NetBrain would actually bring that into my list here and show me the results. The beautiful thing about NetBrain is not only am I able to see these results, but I'm able to go ahead and distinguish between the overlay and the underlay maps here. I can leverage NetBrain at any point to quickly open up an underlay map, and within that particular underlay map, be able to see what I have for VRF, what I currently have for subnets, what I have for a bridge domain, and what EPGs I have in that particular environment. I could even push this a step further and get able to get additional information in terms of logic nodes. I could do it again, leveraging either historical data, or if I don't have any historical data, like we were missing some right now, I could just pull that information live, and NetBrain will populate that information for me. Now, the idea behind having NetBrain support you for ACI is really, really most powerful on day 2 operations. Once you have this set up, once you have your net architects create some procedures, best practice, and what have you, NetBrain allows you to be able to take this automation, scale it to your entire team day 2, and be able to have them leverage subject matter expert recommendations to be able to resolve issues within your environment. In addition to this, not only do you get information from NetBrain in regards to the logical view of a specific VRF for the tenant view, but you also have the ability to come back here and be able to quickly see the underlying infrastructure that supports that particular view. So for example, in this case, I could just quickly open this up, and NetBrain will give me not only those devices that support this, but also any VMs that may be involved within that particular VRF. Now, finally, like I mentioned, not only are we able to see this in terms of a tenant view, a physical view, but NetBrain also allows you to be able to quickly isolate any application you have configured within ACI at any point in time, and be able to see both the overlay and underlay as well. What I do like about this particular feature is NetBrain allows you to be able to not only see the logical piece, but with the underlay of it, be able to quickly troubleshoot and isolate any physical issues that might exist on the network. NetBrain allows us to be able to, again, look at faults within this particular environment, or even just quickly run an overall health monitor within this area to be able to get information. So let's say, for example, we want to look at the overall health of this particular area of the environment. NetBrain allows us to be able to pull that information if we have any issues with our IPNs or ISNs within the environment. So that's another technology that NetBrain allows you to be able to have visibility into. The third technology, apart from AWS, ACI, is NSX. NetBrain will also leverage what we call API Server Manager to be able to access NSX environments and be able to manage it. As you'll be able to see here, not only do you get your management plane from the NSX environment, you also get your control plane discovered within NetBrain and the data plane discovered as well. At any point, NetBrain gives you the ability to go ahead and map out any area of your network, be it NSX, ACI, AWS, and how it connects to your traditional environment, and almost instantly be able to go ahead and get information from it. With just a few clicks, in less than 30 seconds, you will realize that I have been able to not only pull information to give me visibility into the environment, but quickly understand within my where my edge gateways for NSX reside on what specific ESXi hosts. For all the virtual machines I currently have here, I could actually quickly see all the port groups I have for them. I could see what VDS they connect to and be able to go ahead and start troubleshooting if I need to. If I want to go ahead and check their performance or check the specific operational view, NetBrain allows me to be able to also pull that information. I could tell you which devices are currently in HA standby mode and which one are currently in active mode. I could also tell you what the edge status is for each and every one of my edge devices within my VMware NSX deployment. Now, finally, I'll go ahead and open a last map and we'll talk about the traditional network. The idea behind each and every map I've opened up so far is to remind you that each and every time you open a map, you open it up for a specific task. With NetBrain, you can actually get an instant up-to-date map that will be built for the task that you're going to do. Let's say, for example, if you're going through a traditional network at the moment, I was to ask you, what do you have within your OSPF area 0? How many of you would be able to actually tell me the number of devices there? However, I don't know how long it will take, but while using NetBrain, it will be just a matter of seconds, because you could actually go ahead and specify exactly what you want to go ahead and see in a specific area. So 1 second here while I open up the environment I want to work with. Like I mentioned previously, NetBrain allows you to be able to go ahead and build a map for the task you want to work with. So for instance, let's say I'll go ahead and let's say we go with a different AS number, let's say OSPF 140. NetBrain allows me to be able to just quickly type that in. And with one click, based on that data model on the back end, just like you would leverage Google, NetBrain brings back results to me for each and every device that have this configured on them. And I can quickly be able to map and create visibility in regards to OSPF on this particular map. By default, NetBrain would actually go ahead and create a layer 3 topology map, a logical map here. But if I chose to, I still have or reserve the possibility of actually adding all my layer 2 links on this map. But since we are focused only on OSPF, I would go ahead and just focus on the layer 3 links that I currently have within my particular map. With this map, I can start getting a little bit more information in regards to OSPF. Generally, as a network engineer, I would go to CLI, start issuing out show commands for about 6 devices here. But with NetBrain's capabilities and automation, I have the ability to just get this information in less than 30 seconds by just using one click. Not only do I get the information, but I have the ability to jump into it and start assessing what I currently see. Let's say, for instance, here, I could actually look at my OSPF global routes, and I could actually see destination IP addresses, whatever I currently have for distance and interfaces that I'm going to go through, and IP addresses, next hop IP addresses as well. If I choose to, I could actually even jump into all interfaces that currently have OSPF configured on them. NetBrain allows me to go to get that information get the IP addresses on them, and be able to quickly see the state of that particular IP address. In the event you want to go get cost, you'll be able to go ahead and quickly get that as well. Now, this is the most important part. This data is actually actionable data. But if you do not know what to do with this data, you would either have to escalate, but while using NetBrain, you will have recommendations from your subject matter experts. NetBrain allows you to be able to go ahead and leverage their knowledge in this particular instance and be able to get information on the map to know what to do next. This is the kind of automation that we deliver. And as you will note, for every single click I have on any map, NetBrain actually records it for me in my runbook. This allows me to be able to share with the team exactly what we do for our environment whenever we have specific issues and how to get the appropriate data whenever there's an instance or incident within our environment. So for example here, we can quickly leverage show log and be able to quickly see what's going on with the OSPF in this particular device. For each and every one of the devices that currently have an issue, NetBrain will highlight those and allow me to be able to jump into that particular information. So that when I escalate this to the next person, they don't have to repeat the processes that I have here. They would actually just go to the results and start making decisions. Now that covers what we have for just visibility within the different technologies we have out there in the industry. I will send it back to Chris so you can actually go ahead and kick off the second piece of the demo.
All right, thanks, Eugene. Let me go ahead and grab control here. All right, fantastic demo. Let's go ahead and jump on to the second half here. So what other concerns do we have with today's, or the legacy methods rather, of gaining network visibility? Fragmented or incomplete network visibility is generally a result of many things. We may have too many tools and scattered data sets, making it exceedingly challenging to understand how everything fits together in terms of design, operation, and network health, especially when dealing with those day-to-day problems, those incidents, and other NetOps needs. We often lack that critical visibility of our infrastructure's impact on applications and the app delivery path, making it challenging to troubleshoot existing applications and also difficult to roll out new ones with reliable SLAs. And we have a general lack of IT staff availability for all tasks. As you know, today's teams are often very siloed with differing skill sets and tribal knowledge needed for the range of modern networks, complex technologies. So this typically results in an MTTR that may be too high or not desirable, and hence can result in a high cost to the business in terms of time, resources, and reputation. So when we refer to looking at the network from any perspective, from any angle, what do we mean? Well, it can be literally anything that you do today in terms of addressing network problems or managing your infrastructure. NetBrain's automated visibility, crafted using dynamic mapping, the comprehensive data model, and our AI-powered baselining enables functions such as visualizing those applications across your infrastructure for real-time and accurate hop-by-hop, interface-by-interface visibility end-to-end. Layering design information, BGP, MPLS, software-defined constructs right on the map. And assessing security policies and firewall rules affecting application paths, knowing which firewall context you're going through, which VRF, and so forth. Or even applying telemetry data in real time on the map to gauge performance issues and use to troubleshoot network incidents or problems. So engineers need this visibility to all of these things that we mentioned, but why do we need dynamic visibility? Why do we desire to automate this visibility? So let's take a simple real-world example of static versus dynamic and layered information. So the old way of navigating in an automobile, many years ago, I remember this, they used static maps, but today we all use and prefer dynamic maps. Why is this? What perspectives on geographic maps do we want? Well, now I can instantly know things like what roads are closed, what alternate routes do I need to take, where is there traffic congestion, and how will that impact my travel time? Where are restaurants, gas stations, other services? And most importantly, what is the state of all of this right now? Not yesterday, not last year. So NetBrain takes that same concept when providing automated network visibility. The information is dynamic, provides historical views or real-time current views for any network information. These maps can be generated for, as Eugene showed you, a source to destination pass, or a map of a site or data center or some particular area of the network. And even maps generated automatically upon ticket creation using NetBrain's API integration, a tool like ServiceNow. So these maps provide essentially unlimited information displaying full topologies, design details, even data from third-party tools. And in order to see our network from all of these different perspectives at the same time, quite simply what we need is the ability to apply layers of data sets on top of our complex topologies. So what type of layered visibility does NetOps need to do all of these tasks? Well, engineers, they need to know what they have. They need to know what's the intended design, what's the current state of things, routing, firewall, high availability, and so forth. What's the condition or health of everything? That's CPU, memory, link characteristics. And what does my other network data tell me about current performance? And importantly, how do I troubleshoot or investigate today's varied problems? What's my operations playbooks? And of course, what did everything look like yesterday or last week or last month for comparison purposes and troubleshooting? And of course, and this is very important, how are our business applications utilizing the infrastructure? All right, so this is time to go back for our second demonstration. We're going to go back over to Eugene for a look at how we can apply network automation and automated visibility to a wide variety of IT use cases. So back to you, Eugene.
Thank you very much, Chris. Guys, remember this path we were talking about earlier? I just want to go ahead and start with this one. Previously, I did a little bit different, but I want to go ahead and start with this one because we'll walk through a few more as we go along. So like I mentioned, let's say, for example, you're at your desk and you have a hybrid environment and you have a complaint about a specific user not being able to reach one of your application servers within the AWS environment. What NetBrain allows you to be able to do is not only create this entire path. Now, looking at this path, it seems like we're able to get there, right? With NetBrain, you have the ability to actually dig in a little bit deeper. And this is why we say this is not a trace route, because as you'll actually see here, NetBrain is identifying that at this particular moment, for this particular device here, that the path, even though it made it to the device, failed to access the device based on a security group. If there was no matching security group rules that would allow this particular IP address to be able to access this application. So that's one of those things that we do. Previously, we've been able to execute this successfully on networking devices, be able to look at routing tables, access lists, VRFs across the environment. But we have now extended that to AWS as well. So for example, in this case, you could actually look at one of your VPC and look at all the virtual routing tables you currently have at this particular point. You could actually look at the neighbor relationship for this particular VPC within the NetBrain console, and also be able to look at the route dependency table for that particular VPC as well. This can be done not only for the VPC, but your transit gateways as well. And also for the direct connect, we are able to go ahead and leverage an algorithm that would actually build a similar table that I don't know of any other tool or platform that will be able to do that for you. So this is what we talk about when we say we want to go ahead and show you that this is basically what NetBrain can do for you. In regards to perspective, NetBrain also delivers a little bit more. For example, like we mentioned, we already have some information in regards to automation here, or information that we actually pull at any point in time. NetBrain allows us to be able to gather information from devices live at any point based on whatever show commands that we may use consistently as best practices within your environment. If you're looking at ASAs and you're trying to go ahead and look at your VPN summary, NetBrain allows us to be able to quickly put that information live and be able to highlight that here. Even at this particular point, if we were to go ahead and try and get statistics from our VPC, NetBrain allows us to be able to do that as well. So let's say, for example, I'll quickly go ahead and get this information here. We'll actually go ahead and pull that information live once from this particular environment. And you'll see NetBrain will actually go ahead and leverage APIs to start getting that information from this virtual private gateways that we currently have within the AWS environment. This automation we talk about, like I said, these are just samples that we build out, are not relegated just to switches and routers. NetBrain allows us to be able to pull information from the environments that we currently have. Now, jumping back a step, NetBrain also is very aware that we do have several different types of technologies within any network, and allows us at any point to be able to leverage our capabilities to create an end-to-end path at any point across these technologies. For example, here, I'll quickly go ahead and show you what it means whenever we're talking about being able to leverage NetBrain from a different perspective. Like I said, this right here is a list of applications you may have, and these are the paths or the infrastructure that support that particular application. In this case, we'll actually go ahead and look at, one second, I'll quickly change my environment. In this particular case, we'll go ahead and actually look at one of the web services that we currently have. We would have a user that is in our Berlin office that's trying to actually get to a data center in Tokyo. NetBrain allows us to be able to quickly go ahead and get that information at any point and be able to leverage that information, even though we've already had the path in the past, to be able to add that to the path browser. And once we add it to the path browser, be able to calculate it from scratch. Now, what's happening here? NetBrain is leveraging a path logic on the back end, encountering different devices across the network. And from that path logic, determining what the next hops are across the network itself. This is not a trace route. You will not be using CLI to access a device after device to be able to figure it out. You don't have to go to different, let's say, graphical user interface to understand what's going on within the network. NetBrain will actually show you what's actually configured on the network itself, and you would be able to leverage not only what's being configured on the network to see where the traffic flow goes through, but also be able to look at the interfaces that are on the network that you're traversing within your network at any point. Look at the full configuration. If you had any redundancy, NetBrain would also be able to provide that on the map. Why is this important? It's simply important because there's a lot of decisions you need to make at certain points really fast to be able to resolve issues. But NetBrain will take that and actually go ahead and automate that process for you. So whenever you come into any environment, all you have to do is start looking at where the issues are. For example, here you could actually see where you peer with your SD-WAN at this particular point. You'd also be able to jump in and look at the VRFs within SD-WAN, see what you have for your Tokyo router, get to your devices here, and be able to see where you have your HA previously. If you have any policies configured on your firewall, NetBrain allows us to be able to see that. But unfortunately, when we get to towards the end of our line here, we start realizing that we have an issue with one of our devices. For some reason, we are not able to go all the way to our web server. What NetBrain allows us to be able to do is to go back in time and leverage what we have done in the past and what we have been able to see succeed in the past before. In this case, I'll quickly open this list of historical data here. And I know at about 7 a.m. this morning, this path was successful. So what I would do is I would actually open a similar map on this particular path to see what has changed within this environment and leverage that to be able to start troubleshooting more effectively. In less than 2 minutes, I could tell you exactly where the path has changed. It seems like something may have changed within our device here. What I could do in this particular moment is I could actually take this device and decide to go ahead and retrieve live data from that particular device. NetBrain allows me to be able to pull information from it, be able to actually get all the information that we have configured on this device, pull it at that particular point, and compare it to what I had for my last previous benchmark. All I have to do is run, get all this information. In a matter of seconds here, I'll be able to have it and do a quick comparison to see what has changed. So going back here, all I'll have to do is come in here and choose the ability to compare within NetBrain and just take my current baseline and compare it to my last live result. NetBrain allows me to do quickly compare these two. And I could start jumping into the results. So for example, we have a lot of show commands that had been previously issued, but all I wanted to go ahead and check is this particular device. If I look at this, I could actually see where we have a few changes here. I could jump into the configuration file. I could actually see what's going on in terms of changes. It doesn't seem like we have much here. I could actually go and look at the ARP table and see what has been added, what has been removed from the ARP table at any point in time. I could scroll out a little bit further down to see if I have any other information. It seems like I don't have any more. I could actually see if I have any VRFs and anything has changed at any point in time. Basically, what NetBrain allows you to be able to do is not look at your network in terms of traffic flow only, but also look at what traffic flow is right now and what it previously was. Now, if you wanted to also look at the performance across board for this particular area of the environment, NetBrain allows us to be able to do so as well. We could quickly start off by checking at the overall health performance of this particular environment, looking at all the interfaces we currently have to see if we have any additional issues within the environment itself. NetBrain allows us to be able to pull that information. We see some interface errors, some receive loads up here. NetBrain allows us to be able to get that information, and that also allows us to be able to go ahead and check information that we previously had. So in case we could actually, in this case, we could jump into one of these devices here, be able to highlight that information to see what has changed at any point in time. So NetBrain allows us to be able to pull all this information, take our golden baseline here and compare it to what we currently have within the map. If there's anything that was different, seems like we already have this set up. NetBrain would actually highlight it for us. In addition to that, what we could actually go ahead and do is just come in here and start looking at different things. We also have some ACI configured within this particular map environment that we could actually go ahead and leverage. NetBrain allows us to be able to go ahead and check within this environment what we currently have for false for ACI and be able to highlight those onto the map. Again, with this here, we'll be able to go ahead and dive in, see what is going on at any point, and be able to quickly go ahead and compare. In this case, it seems like we have something that has been added within the ACI environment that we could actually go ahead and see. This allows us for any piece of technology and any traditional environment that you currently have to be able to get more information from your environment. There was a question about SD-WAN, so I just want to go ahead and point out something real quick that we can actually leverage. For at any point in time, NetBrain allows us to be able to quickly go ahead and pull information for what you may have for SD-WAN as well. In this case, we're focusing on Viptela and we're looking at BFD sessions at any point, and what we are able to go ahead and look at in terms of history and on the SD-WAN deployment that we currently have and are traversing for this specific application. So we'll give this a couple of seconds and we should be able to have data that we could actually leverage for decision-making purposes. As you can see here, NetBrain pulls that information here and allows us to be able to quickly go ahead and see it and be able to go ahead and not only see the current sessions, but also dig in and look at the history within this particular device itself. Now, all in all, we've been able to show you how we could actually go ahead and visualize your environment. Use automation not only to be able to go ahead and get data out, but also recommend actions to users, as well as create workflows that can be repeatable across the teams. NetBrain also has the ability to give you visibility into what your applications are saying about your network. For example, in this particular case, I could jump in here and you could actually see the list of APIs that have been issued out with some of the platforms or tools that we currently have within our environment. NetBrain allows us to be able to pull all this information in, and at any point, I have the ability to map the area that's being impacted, and that particular third-party tool is seeing, and not only map it out, but leverage one of those workflows that I create to be able to get information here. So for instance here, you could actually see that I could come back and for any of the devices at any point, be able to go ahead and look at the show commands that were issued out for any of the devices. I come in here and pick any of these devices and be able to deploy them and be able to see those show commands and maybe resend these commands to this particular device. I could see what was seen for the overall health maybe a day ago. NetBrain allows me to be able to pull that information and be able to overlay that onto the map to see what's going on. Now with that, I'll just conclude with the fact that NetBrain's purpose is to be able to go ahead and not only give you information about the task that you want to do at hand, but also empower you to be able to make decisions faster that would actually eventually help with reducing MTTR or MTTI. With that, I'll give it back to you, Chris.
All right, thanks, Eugene. All right, very impressive and varied collection of use cases. I like that. So in summary, today's NetOps teams need a NetOps automation, a network automation system, and an automated visibility for any network and really any perspective. So NetBrain's solution provides exactly that with automated visibility. It's dynamic, it's accurate and comprehensive, it's API integrated to your IT and operations tools, and ultimately it's layered and able to discover, baseline, and view any network data set, enabling a nearly unlimited set of use cases and application to real-world network operations tasks. So that wraps up our presentation and demos for today. I really thank you for your time today, and thanks again.